We are seventh graders, and in science for this summer semester, we underwent an expedition that we titled Oceans in Crisis, in which we learned about the ocean and its state of healthy being, and we had to complete a series of projects so that we could get the big idea out to the world, which was our learning target, that we affect the ocean even though it might be far away from us. So, like, we may be here and the Atlantic Ocean may be some miles away, but still, like, we can impact it. And so, what we had to do was, we had this bag, basically it's the major final product. So you had to create a picture, and you had to focus on one animal, and you had to, like, kind of educate yourself so that you could be the professional on that topic. And you needed to know, like, what was wrong with what you were doing to impact it negatively. And in here, we just gave a little background information about the organism itself, its habitat, and what we can do to start impacting it positively instead of negatively.
And then our finished project was a poster that we presented to the class. Any questions?
So one of the fieldworks we did, like, before we started on this was well, not everywhere went, it was like a trip, rock data, and what we found the most was plastic. And if you drop stuff on the ground, it washes into the sewer, then into the river. So, even though you're not close to the ocean, you're still affected by dropping stuff on the ground.
Another expedition we went to was we went to different stores and tried to see if they sold sustainable fish, and we found that many of them sold farm fish or wild caught. So we did a letter that we would, like, say what we saw, what you can do to, like, change that, like sell sustainable fish and things like that, and they can sign up what type of fish to sell. And many of us got hired for that.
Okay, and we also went to a cruise to River, and we tested the pH level of the river. It wasn't kind of okay, and we went to the Anacostia. It was really not polluted. And we also fished out fish to check the diversity of the river and the surroundings.
Ours is, no, it's not very realistic. It's kind of cool. So, there was an earthquake with a volcano.
Are there any questions from the audience, as well as the rest of the group chiming in any additional information or experiences? But we can just kind of have a conversation going on.
Yeah, we gave the civilization a name. No, there were no
Quarter two.
Like, did they tell me to pay, like, how much people were they for civilization?
It took us a really long time to do this. We did, like, the final project out yesterday.
Yes.
It took a long time to put it on the badge and making it and all that.
I think my strength is
So
getting a lot of.
So to make this product, we had to talk about our animal, the specific species that we were studying, its habitat, its population, and whether it's an endanger. And the biggest part of it is to take action. What we can do to help.
With a partner. A partner was, who was not here. She's presenting on
My specific animal was the dolphin. And Ms. May gave us a paper where we had some information from our source. And to find a good source for information, you should always check giveitempit.org, givenews.org, and if you keep on finding the same information like various internet sites, it's very good information for
Mr. Chase, please report to your office.
So
Mr.
for the
Chase, please
picture,
report to your office. Thank you.
I chose the narwhal, and like you had to include what was harming the animal that you chose. So like for the narwhal, it was pollution. The narwhal was getting polluted by all these things, like plastics. Like we watched this video that was I think it was filled with the plastic soup, and 2 times the size of Texas. Yeah.
There's this part of the ocean is filled with plastic, and because of the current is like going in a circle, all the plastic stays there, and all the garbage there is twice the size of Texas.
What was the hardest part of the project?
For me, when I wanted to revise and edit mine, we didn't have computers because of the portfolios. So I had to write it on here, grade it, and then after she graded it, when I was able to get a hold of the
Jared, please come to the main office.
finished it. And I wrote about 3 pages of COL, and I could fit it on 1 page.
Well, for me, I went through 7 drafts for the information sheet, and finally the last page was easy. And when putting the template, you have to copy, paste, select all, and then you have to email it to the teacher to get your final product to get the color. So we didn't. We had drafts like where she would grade it and then we go change it, and then our final product was the color.
For me, it was the picture itself, because I went through about like 4 or 5 drafts, because I'm not exactly a good drawer, but like I went through many different techniques, and through all those techniques, I just decided to like trace and then color and like add color to it in the background. And then, because at first I thought it was just like it was going to be a little small project that like we could draw something cartoony about. Then Ms. Vereen said it was going to be like published into the world if it was good enough. So I was like, oh, I want mine published into the world. So I went through about 400 or 500 drafts of the picture until it was finally mass production quality.
For me, it was basically the slogan, because I have like a hard time making up slogans. Like I'm not a very good rhymer, and I wanted it like to rhyme and make sense with what I was putting into the picture.
Yes. What is your slogan?
My slogan is pollution is not a solution, and it basically gets incorporated into the whole picture because I added like a lot of things that people throw on the beach that might go into the ocean, like a shoe, shampoo. Sometimes people bring it, beer bottles.
Based on your studies and learnings, has anybody made any habit changes themselves, and if so, what are they?
My mom, I told her she went crazy. Now we don't fish anymore. I sometimes when I go to my aunt's house, like I'm like so happy when we eat salmon. I really miss salmon.
So is the issue that you shouldn't eat any fish?
Like too much of it.
Yeah, and let's think about the letters that you wrote to the local stores. What were you telling them? Don't sell fish? What were you telling them? What was the message?
To sell sustainable fish.
And how do they know, and how do the stores and how do your parents and you know what fish are sustainable?
As I mentioned in my information sheet, I included that one way we can help like these animals is by buying fish and seafood from sustainable fisheries with this Marine Stewardship Council logo. Yeah.
Any other questions? My lovely 6th graders?
Okay, so here is our final product. So as you can see, it's got her picture on the front, and then inside is the information sheet. And usually it would be attached to the back. Each bag is $5, and
All
it's
proceeds are donated to the Chesapeake Foundation.
What's on the back?
5 ways to help the environment. So like, don't litter, buy from sustainable seafood, buy sustainable seafood. Like, reduce your energy use, like turn off the TV or the lights when you're not using them. Like, reuse things that can be reused, like this bag. And don't use fertilizer because like when it rains, then the fertilizer will like seep into the sewer, and the sewer will dump that out into, well, like to us, it will dump it out into the Potomac River, and the Potomac River eventually ends up dumping out into the Atlantic Ocean, and then all of that polluted all the polluted chemicals spread throughout the Atlantic Ocean, which is why it's so green, brownish.
I don't really think.